What's up, everyone? Welcome to Who's Reality Cooking. I'm Audrey Johns, and I'm here with Christina Miros. She's on season 3, the current season of Next Level Chef. Hey, Christina, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. You're my first season 3 Next Level Chef.
Thank
So,
you for having me. I'm excited too.
absolutely. So, what I wanted to do is just kind of let you tell your story and explain what prompted you to try out and what it was like. And for anyone listening or watching, we have to be careful because the season is still ongoing. So if she doesn't answer all your questions, comment below and maybe we'll have Christina back on another podcast, but we have to be respectful. So Christina, tell me, why did you decide to try out for Next Level Chef?
So I had watched the first two seasons of Next Level Chef, and it is just such a fun and unique concept for a cooking competition. I like that they integrate people from all walks of life, and it's not only professional chefs. A lot of times, these cooking competitions are all these big executive chefs from restaurants around the country. And in this case, they have social media cooks, home cooks, and professionals all in the same competition against each other. And I thought it seems really approachable and something that I could definitely be a part of.
Awesome. I do have a question about that. So, can you explain the difference or how they see the difference or how you see the difference between a home cook and a social media chef?
So I think the social media chefs, they have a pretty prevalent following on social media platforms, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and mostly they're cooking for their content that they're filming, as opposed to a home cook who kind of just cooks for their family and grabs whatever they have in their fridge and just cooks for the people that they love.
Great. Now, when I was watching it, I noticed that the social media chefs went first, and then the home cooks, and then the chefs when trying out. Can you share with us, is that how it truly happened, or are you not sure?
So the actually I think the professional chefs might have gone first and the home cooks went last, but they just kind of flopped around the episode airing schedule, which sometimes happens. But we all did go on separate days.
Gotcha, gotcha. How long was your filming? So I know you guys did the basement and then you did the middle level and then you guys were in the amazing top level. How many days did it take to film just the tryouts for you?
So that is all done in one day. It's truly done back to back to back for actual cooks. Yes.
Oh my gosh, that must have been exhausting.
It was, but, you don't feel the exhaustion until it's over. You
Yeah.
have adrenaline going.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. So I've done a reality show and each time they make it look like the whole thing is done in one day, but they must have really buttoned it up and, in the last 10 years gotten to a point where doing it all in one day is possible. That's amazing. Well done. I'm completely in awe of you. I couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Awesome. What about fatigue? I've watched last season and I was able to really resonate with some of the chefs and the home cooks where I could see the fatigue, where it was just they were amazing, they were kicking butt every single episode, and then the last few episodes it was clear they were having fatigue. Can you talk a little bit about that and share if you had any kind of fatigue?
So I think that is a super valid point. We are filming for 15 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week to bang out this whole season within a 4-week period. So it is very demanding. It is mentally exhausting, physically exhausting, emotionally exhausting. Um, I think it's easy for people to kind of throw the towel in after a certain point, and you are just kind of content maybe with how far you've gotten or how well you've done so far. And sometimes people are okay with just going home because it is a really big mental game. As much as it is about your skill, it's just a matter of staying focused and remembering why you're there. I definitely experienced fatigue. I mean, I was very stressed out for most of the season that I was there, and I think that people are so quick to speak on that from behind their screens and their keyboards, and why is she being so dramatic and whatever. You weren't there. You don't know how difficult it was, and you don't understand that this is a dream of mine to have this once in a lifetime opportunity in the culinary world in some capacity. And for me, Next Level Chef was my shot. So it means the world to me, and it was very important to me to not let all of that I guess to not let myself down and not let my daughter down. So yeah, I was being dramatic because for me, this is an opportunity to change my life. So that's that's all I have to say about that.
Are you getting a lot of negative reaction? Obviously, I wouldn't know because, I'm not in your seat, but are you getting some negativity? Because it kind of sounds like that.
So, I try not to engage in any of those things, but it was like a running joke during the season, like, oh man, Christina's crying again. But it's also like there's so much footage that's being shot and so many hours and hours and hours, hundreds of hours of interviews that you're sitting for. And it just depends on how it's edited and what they decide to show. So if all of my footage ends up only being the parts of me crying, of course it looks like I freaking cried all the time. It's like I don't have control over that.
Of course, of course. Did you feel like they gave you a character on the show? I've spoken to some other people and they feel like they kind of box them into a character. It sounds like they kind of gave you a emotional character. Does that feel like that's accurate? And can you talk a little bit about that?
So I think because of my story, I am an ICU nurse. I have a special needs daughter. I am a home cook. I'm a mom. So maybe those sort of emotions and personality traits resonate with that aspect of my life, but I don't think that it's not like they're telling you what to say or what to do. There are a lot of times in the interviews where a producer maybe will ask certain questions and try to lead you into certain answers, but I think most of us were smart enough to not necessarily play into those things. I wanted to be my most authentic self, but also, again, I didn't really have control as to what was shown. There's so much more of my personality and who I am as a person than just being stressed and crying about maybe going into elimination.
Right, right. I can really resonate with that, and I feel like anyone who's done these shows can. And I think from what I have seen thus far, I think you're handling yourself beautifully. So for any of the haters out there, you guys can't even imagine how stressful and how many hours of filming, and they'll just nitpick and take little pieces. So
Yeah, and
you
you're
know,
away from your families, you're staying in a hotel, you're out of your comfort zone. We were filming in another country. I was in another country. It's just a lot that goes behind something like a production like this that nobody could ever imagine unless you were there. I was also sick for half of the filming. So a lot of times it looks like I want to cry, but actually I had like a sick sinus infection.
oh no.
Like my eyes were just glassy and itchy, and I had like nasal congestion, and so it was a lot of behind the scenes things that you can never even imagine.
Wow. What country were you guys filming in? Was it Canada?
So, we filmed in Ireland. We were in Dublin.
Wow, interesting. What was that like? Did you guys get to see any of the sights, or what were you just like sequestered in a hotel the whole time?
We were pretty much sequestered. Yes. So, and especially, in the beginning, there are so many contestants. So it's they don't want you getting sick, getting hurt, getting lost, anything happening to you, because at the end of the day, we are the responsibility of the production. So we got to see some things. We got to go on walks and chaperones walks. But nice because you don't like that little break of fresh air means so much when you are just filming constantly or in your hotel room.
Oh, and did you make some really lasting friendships out of the hotel?
So we were not even allowed to like go and see each other, go to each other's rooms, anything like that. But we are spending all day, every day together when we're on set. So we got very close very quickly.
That's great. That's so great. So, what about the mentors, the hosts? How much time did you really get with them? And did you feel like you kind of created a lasting friendship or mentorship, or is it kind of they're, up above on a different level and you can only talk to them when the cameras are on?
No, no, not at all. So again, there's so much footage that's filmed that is not even shown on the screen, but they are passionate about what they do and about mentoring people and, trying to allow everyone to show them their best selves when it comes to cooking, and they take that job very seriously. They joked with us, they spoke to us like, you know person to person, real life, just hey. And especially Chef Blaze and Chef Arrington, they both competed on Top Chef like many years ago. So they're like, we've been in your shoes. We understand this insane emotional roller coaster you're on. Like, just you guys are doing great. They reach out on social media, they are interactive in that way. So it's really awesome. And they're so nice and down to earth. And Chef Ramsay is like, he is awesome. Like, people always say, don't meet your idols, you'll always be disappointed. But he is just like an amazing human being.
I love to hear that. I was thinking about just kind of his entire career, well, not maybe not his entire career, but his career on reality shows, and it seems like, he started out mean, and then
Mhm.
he kind of softened, and now he just seems like a nurturing, kind, like he genuinely cares about you
Yeah,
guys. Did you kind of feel that way?
absolutely. He is like, has this really gentle, caring kind of spirit about him. And I don't know, I just appreciate that so much. And yeah, there's so many times behind the scenes that, like, while we're cooking maybe, but maybe it hasn't necessarily been aired, that he's like really talking to you and trying to get to know you and understand who you are as a person, or give you little tidbits like, hey, you don't want to do that, make sure you do this. And it's just like, that is so invaluable.
That's so great. Is there any specific advice that you got from any of the mentors, the chefs, that really resonated with you that you'd feel comfortable sharing with the listeners?
um I'm trying to think. Chef Arrington always will say, like, don't cook scared, don't cook nervous. And I think that that is such an accurate kind of piece of advice in this sort of situation, because no matter how much you might know about cooking or how comfortable you feel cooking, and like for me, cooking is really second nature to me. I understand like the instincts that come with cooking, but when you're in this situation and you're under this amount of pressure and you start maybe to second guess yourself, or maybe do things that you wouldn't normally do. So when you hear her tell you that, like, don't cook scared, you're like, okay, get like, like, get your shit together, girl. Like, we got to get this done. And it kind of grounds you again.
I love that. I love that. It seems like there was a real camaraderie, like you guys were all trying to create a great show, and I love the nurturing aspect of all of that. So now that you're back home, so anybody who has not done one of these shows, they did film all of it, and then they started, yeah. Okay, so they film all of it, and then they edit it, and then it comes out. So you've been home for some time right now, and I think we're on the fifth episode at the time of recording this.
Mhm.
So how has it impacted your career, or are you just now starting to see the trickle of that?
So I think I'm starting to see. I've obviously been reached out to by a lot of different media outlets for interviews and articles. I've been in my local town paper. I have an article coming out in Bergen Magazine in April, which is the magazine for the county that I live in New Jersey. I've had, just people that are really supportive and reaching out to me, strangers, people that I know, people I don't know. I just hosted my first pop-up dinner last week. That was amazing because the one of the most amazing parts about that was most of the tickets I sold were not even to people that I know. So to me, that's awesome because it shows that people want to come and see me and eat my food because I am featured on Next Level Chef. So for me, those kind of relationships are just starting. I'm in processes of um, finding different locations to have more pop-ups at. I have one locally that I might be doing a sort of residency at where I'm going to have like regularly scheduled pop-up dinners or plated kind of chef's table dinners. And to me, that is so exciting because I get to just create whatever I feel like for my menu on any given event. And it lets me always be creating and letting people kind of see who I am through the food that I'm creating.
That's so great. And I saw some of the photos on Instagram. Your food is stunning,
Yeah.
absolutely stunning. Can you tell us a little bit more about, let's maybe talk about what did you cook at your last pop-up? And then I'd love to kind of find out what your progression was from when you first tried out and how you got to the point where you're plating this. I mean, all your food has been beautiful, but now to where you've grown into this pop-up superstar, let's just call you.
Uh, so, I mean, for my pop-up that I did, it was a four-course with a beer pairing, and it was at a brewery. So, for me, I have Greek roots. I'm first generation Greek American, so a lot of my influence comes from that. But I like to modernize and elevate like my grandmother's cooking sort of thing. So I also wanted it to feel approachable for being paired with beer and being at a brewery because it's beer is, just down to earth drinking beer, right? But
Yeah.
I love for my food to be elevated but still feel really approachable. So the first course I did handmade potato chips with a caramelized leek dip. So I love like the onion dip you get at the store that you serve with like Ruffles or something, but I just wanted to make like a fun elevated play on that. So I used labna instead of sour cream. I used some feta cheese in there. Leeks are in season, so I used those instead of onions. And then my potato chips I seasoned with some like lemon zest, fresh dill, and celery seed. It was just delicious, but it also is very approachable and perfect to eat while you're drinking a cold beer.
Yeah.
Uh,
What kind of beer did you pair that one with?
so that one I had like a nutty, it was a brown ale for that. And then for my second course, I did octopus, which is like quintessential Greek. And I wanted it to feel like you were at a taverna on the beach in Greece, summer vacation, drinking a cold, crisp beer. And for that, I did a play on a Mexican aguachile. So I spent 6 years living in the Southwest when I went to college, and that is where I really like learned a lot about Mexican food, and I've traveled to different parts of Mexico numerous times, and I love Mexican cuisine. So I wanted to kind of play off of that, but using the Greek flavor. So for the aguachile, which was like the Greek, sorry, the green liquid that was on the plate, I used cucumbers, dill, scallions, and a Fresno chili with some lemon, so it had those Greek kind of flavors to it. And then I had these beautiful watermelon radishes, which are also in season, and they're just bright pink and gorgeous. I put some fried shallots because I'm an onion ring girl through and through. But it's just like a little fancier way to enjoy an onion ring. What else did I have on the plate? And I think I put some capers on there because I love a good brininess. So that was just delicious. I was really proud of that dish. And then I made souvlaki tacos, again, another kind of riff on Mexican, but with Greek flair. So I did like gyro seasoning on the chicken. I had some tzatziki, which I called like a crema, kind of like you would on a taco. And then I made a purple cabbage, mint, and scallion slaw. So it was that bright citrus notes, but the mint was like a little surprise that you don't normally find in a slaw. So that turned out to be delicious. And then my dessert, which I'm not much of a baker, so I was a little stressed, like, how am I going to work this one out? But I wanted to do a kind of deconstructed modern version of a baklava cheesecake. So I made a cheesecake cream, pistachio sponge cake, and a honey twill. And I bruleed some figs. Their figs are not necessarily in season, but I found them at the store, and I'm like, figs, Greek, beautiful.
Heck yeah. And so I'm salivating, and now you've got me hungry. So anybody who's listening right now, can you just, I was going to ask you to share your Instagram handle at the end, but can you share it now so that they can,
Yeah.
get over there while they're listening?
So it's at Chef Christina Miros, Christina Miros.
Awesome. Awesome. So now that we know where you're at right now, and oh my gosh, this food sounds absolutely amazing. Where did you start? What was the first thing that you cooked on Next Level Chef? And how would you maybe change it now that you have all of this extra knowledge that you learned from the mentors?
So the first thing I cooked was in the basement of the auditions. I made a pork chop with these like Asian inspired noodles. And I actually threw fried shallots on top of that plate too for some texture. And because, like I said, I love them. Um, so I mean, I've thought about how I would change it, and it was pretty good. I feel like maybe I would just change the plating a little bit to make it a little more elevated, but even the plate looked beautiful given, I had 20 minutes cooking in that basement, and I'm pretty proud of what I put out for that first plate.
It looked amazing. And anyone who hasn't watched the first episode yet, or actually you're in the second episode, is that
Yeah,
correct?
second
Um,
episode.
Yeah, so I remember Chef Blaze saying, "Can you cook anything but chops?"
I know. So funny because you don't know what you're gonna see when you're at the platform, and you just run up to the platform, and the first thing you see, you have to grab it, because if you even think for a split second about getting anything else, someone's gonna snatch that thing right out from in front of your face, and then you're stuck with whatever's left. So I'm not mad at it. I cooked 3 perfect chops, so it wasn't a fluke. And, but I will say following that, I tried to make it a point to avoid chops, because I was like, I wanna show that I'm versatile and I can do more than just cook chops.
Gotcha. Yeah, and this actually brings me to a really big question I personally have. So when you're grabbing things off of the platform, do you have to use every ingredient you grab? I don't mean all of that specific ingredient, but I kind of thought, someone could really sabotage everyone else by grabbing absolutely everything. And so is there a rule that you have to use the ingredients you grab?
So they say you should use everything you grab. They understand that maybe you're not going to and you don't get penalized, but it that is to prevent people from doing exactly what you just said about kind of hoarding ingredients. Like if that were someone's strategy where they're just hoarding ingredients, let's say, and production noticed that that kept happening, I something would definitely be done about that. So you don't have to use everything you grab, but you should, and you shouldn't just grab a bunch of stuff so that other people can't.
Did that ever happen? You don't have to, call out the
No,
person.
that did not ever happen. It happened like where I had grabbed a few things that I didn't use, and for example, in the Smash Burger challenge, I grabbed my protein first, and then I think I saw a block of cheese. So I'm like, okay, I'm making a burger. I want cheese. But then all of the other components that I started seeing and grabbing were like Asian flavors, and I was making a fresh slaw and a mayo, and I was like, this cheddar cheese doesn't go with this, so I'm not going to use it. So, you kind of have to edit yourself along the way as well.
Gotcha. Are you able to, in the group challenges, not when you guys are actually competing against each other, but are you guys able to like trade ingredients or share ingredients?
No, we are not allowed to trade or share because I honestly don't know what I think it makes it more exciting that we can't, because if you could, it kind of defeats the purpose of that platform grab. If I know that I have a crutch with my team, like let's say I forgot a lemon and I really need it for my dish, it's kind of boring if I can just ask my teammate for a lemon, So no, we cannot share platform ingredients. The only things that we can share are like pantry staples that are in all of the kitchens.
Can you give us an example of what the pantry staples are, and are they consistent for each episode or do they change up?
So the pantry staples are all of the spices, but the spice cabinets, let's say, are way more stocked on the middle kitchen and top kitchen than they are in the basement. The basement has an adequate amount of spices, but it's definitely not as versatile as the other floors. We have flour, baking powders, baking sodas, sugars, powdered sugars, different kinds of oils, different vinegars. There's butter, eggs, milk, heavy cream, and stocks. And did I say eggs? Eggs as well. So all of those are on all of the floors, and some challenges, they did give us other things that we might need. For example, like the Smash Burger challenge, they put the weights for us to smash down our patties. They'll give us certain things for certain challenges.
Great, great. That's really interesting. Thank you for kind of clarifying that for me because I had a big
Yeah.
question about all of
I
that.
was, like, very actually nervous about that because before filming, I had no idea what was actually available to us. So I'm like, how am I supposed to like grab like butter, eggs, flour, all this stuff from the platform? It seems insane. So it's very nice that they do include those things for us.
Oh, absolutely. Now, since you mentioned beforehand, before you got on the show, did you happen to do any, studying or watching of the old shows, or what did you do to prepare, knowing that you were going to go on? How did you study or how did you prepare?
So I watched the prior two seasons again, and just to kind of see what kind of challenges there were, what kind of things were on the platform, if there was anything that I didn't have a lot of experience cooking. Um, I did try to do those things. So for example, I think I went out and I bought like scallops, because scallops I don't cook a lot. To me, I think scallops are pretty easy to cook. You just need a hot pan and just don't overcook them or undercook them. It has to be like perfect, but it's not rocket science. But I just don't cook them often, so I wanted to practice that. Um, I honestly probably didn't prepare as much as I, like, wanted to initially, but I'm also a full-time working mom, and just things just happened kind of quickly when I found out that I was actually going to be cast on the show, so, I didn't practice as much as I probably would have liked, and also, the prior 2 seasons had 45 minutes for most of their, challenges. And so I went in there with that kind of mindset, like 45 minutes, like I could do a lot in 45 minutes. And then we got there for auditions and they're like 20 minutes, let's go. So
Oh,
that was kind of a shock for sure. There's no way you can be prepared for something you don't even know is going to happen.
oh yeah. Did you happen to cook a lot of chops before you came on? I'm sorry, I know I'm leaning on that, but I've
No,
gotta ask.
and I did not. When I tell you, like, I don't really even eat pork at home besides like bacon. It's not my choice to buy or cook, so no. And veal, no. I The last time I cooked veal was probably when my daughter was an infant, and it was like thin sliced like veal for veal marsala. It wasn't like a bone-in beautiful veal chop.
Gotcha, gotcha. So now I kind of want to change this up a little bit and talk about the drama of reality shows and how it does make really great TV. So, no hating on the producers. You guys are doing a great job. But I wanted to ask, did they try to create drama between you guys or within your own lives? Like, how did they or did they create drama for the show?
Um, I think that if there were something kind of juicy that might have happened, they will always ask you about it in your interviews or try to get you to be like, so who do you think is your biggest threat? Or what do you think about professional chefs being a home cook? Like, do you even really need to go to culinary school? They try to kind of stir the pot in that way. Um, but yeah, I mean, or I don't know, maybe it's actually shocking knowing all the contestants and we were all very working so closely together, we all were joking about like who's going to be the villain and who is going to be portrayed this way or that way. And I'm actually kind of surprised that what we thought wasn't necessarily how those people come across on screen. So it's very interesting.
Wow, wow. So is there a villain this season? And can you share with everyone who that might be?
I mean, so far I don't know, but we thought for sure that Vaughn or Angela were gonna be like major villains, and so far Vaughn is just like this big lovable teddy bear. Um, it's very interesting how these things happen. And then Angela as well. We thought for sure we're like, Angela, you're gonna be the villain, and so far she's been like very likable. So it's you just don't know, you know what I mean?
Oh, that's great. That's great. I've been speaking to so many people and I started with my castmates from the Taste and that's 10 years old. So now kind of seeing how it's changed and even just how Gordon Ramsay has softened, but also it doesn't seem like they're trying to pit you guys against each other and create the drama. They're
No.
asking the questions that might bring up drama, but they're not trying to fabricate it.
Yes, they'll be like, "What did you think about this?" I'm like, "I didn't even see that. I was blacked out trying to finish my dish."
Did you ever have one of those moments where you were just like tunnel vision or just
Oh, yeah,
like.
every day, every single time, and that's why it's interesting because I was there, I know everything that's happened, but watching it on screen now, it's like, "Oh, man, I forgot about that," or, "Oh, man, they had to show that," or, "Why didn't they show this other part?" You know? You can't
Is there
control.
any is there any piece of any episode that's aired so far that you're like, but wait, this happened and they didn't show it? Is there any piece that you just kind of want to fill in and remind people, hey, this is how I really am?
Um, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely moments that are like hilarious or funny in my interviews, but then they tend to lean into the more when I'm like stressed and, crying about something. But it's like, what about all the times I was laughing or being hilarious? You're not going to show that. So, what it is, I don't care because I know who I am. But there was one moment, it was, I think, in the draft episode and, before Chef Arrington called me to be on her team, she said something to the effect of, like, "I think that this chef can win the whole thing." And then she called my name, and I was like, "What?" So that's why when she called me, my face was, like, so surprised because she had said that, and I thought she was talking about someone else for sure. And I was like, "Wait, that's me. You just said my name." So that was cut out, but that's fine. And then Chef Ramsay said something about like, oh, you're putting a target on her back or something like to that effect. But I do wish that they showed a little bit more of the process of the draft and like I'm picking this chef because this or this because this, but for time's sake in the episode they kind of just like called out all of our names to make it quick.
Oh, that's too bad. Maybe they'll use some of those little tidbits later on because I would absolutely love to see the whole process of this is why I want this person. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting. Well, I know we can't talk about anything past episode 5 right now, and even though I think episode 6 will be out by the time that this comes out, I really want to protect you in all of this, but is there anything you can talk about your exit, other people's exits that are interesting, or do you not feel comfortable with that? Because I want you to.
Uh, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know what I can say about that.
For those of you listening, Christina is under contract, so she can't talk about the show until it airs. And so not only do I really want to protect her, but she's got to protect herself as well.
Yeah.
So maybe we can have you back on after the season is wrapped and we can talk about it because you are really fun to interview and just a gem. What about any fun stories that you might want to share either about while you're on the show or while you're, off the show and sequestered? Anything fun or silly or exciting to the listeners?
Honestly, it was just an incredible experience, and I felt really fortunate that I was cast with the other people that I was cast with because I felt like we genuinely all really get along well, and everyone was just hilarious together, and we had just the best time. And even though, we're there and we're competing against each other, at the end of the day, you're really just competing against yourself each time you step out there because you're only as good as you allow yourself to be or not letting any of your mental game get blocked. So it doesn't matter if someone else was like a really great chef. I can't beat them unless I put out my best work every single time. So as much as we were competing against each other, it was all a very supportive environment. And if someone else did really well, it's like, congratulations to you. I just need to step up better next time. And I think that that was something that was really special, that we all just genuinely got along and genuinely supported each other.
I love that. I love to hear that. That's so great. You guys are so lucky to have had that camaraderie.
Yeah.
Any other contestants that you're still in contact with, or have you guys hung out after the show, or any watch parties, anything like that?
Yes, so we're all in contact still. We have a group chat of the top 15 of us that made it through to the draft, and we text like almost every single day. We're on it. Especially the nights that the show is airing, we're like texting, "Oh my God, did you see that?" Or it's just so much fun. And then so I live in North Jersey, and Alexandra's from New Jersey. Gabby is in Brooklyn, so we have met numerous times. Alexandra actually came to my pop up I'm going to one that Gabby's having in March. We just try to always support each other. A few of the contestants are having a watch party event on a farm in Tennessee in on March 28th, and that will be for one of the episodes to watch, have a meet and greet. 10 of the contestants will be there as well. I won't be at that one because I have a prior engagement on that exact weekend. But we are totally planning way more events, whether it's going to be in LA or here on the East Coast or in Texas, just so that we can all be together and kind of have fun with this.
I love it. I love it. Do you have any recommendations, any advice for someone who might want to try out for one of these shows or just trying to get on season 4?
So just do it. Don't second guess yourself. Don't feel like you have imposter syndrome or that there's no way that you could do it. It doesn't matter. Just do it. Even if you only last one episode or one day, like the whole experience is so worth it. It's incredible. I still can't even believe it's real, and I'm just so grateful.
Well, you are just so much fun to watch, and I'm so excited that you were the first. You're actually my first interview from Next Level Chef. I am interviewing Chef Stretch from
Oh,
season 2 later on today, so it's going to be a very Next Level Chef day. But it's been so much fun to watch you. And do you have anything coming up that you want to plug, or can you share with us your social media handles again, or any extras?
so I don't have anything currently on the books, but my website is ChristinaMiros.com, and on there you can find out all of the services that I offer, as well as just ways to get in contact about all of those services, to have me cooking for your next events or private cook lessons, anything like that. And my social media handles, both on TikTok and Instagram, are at Chef Christina Miros. And you can just, stay in touch with me that way too and see what I'm cooking up and what events I have coming up next.
Awesome. Well, from one home cook, from a contestant or as a contestant to another, I'm rooting for you, babe. You're
It,
amazing and so much fun to watch and so genuine. Um,
thank
you
you.
really, you really come off really, really great. And I'm excited to see what's coming next for you. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. Is there anything else you wanted to share with all of us?
Um, just keep watching and keep supporting and just understand that it takes all of us a lot of courage to step out and put ourselves out there the way that we did for this show. So be kind and just keep watching.
Absolutely. In a world where you can be anything, just be kind on social
Yeah.
media because she put herself out there, everyone. And if you're not brave enough to say it to her face, then you're not brave enough to be out there on your
Yeah.
own either. You've got nothing, you shouldn't be saying anything. So thank you, Christina. This was so much fun. Everyone watch Next Level Chef season 3. It's on Thursday nights, is that correct?
Thursday nights, 8 p.m. on Fox, and then 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox, and the next day on Hulu and Disney Plus.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I can't wait to keep watching, and I'd love to have you come back on the show, or maybe have a few of you come back on the show and talk about everything you've done together
That's
since.
really fun. That would be totally feral and hilarious.
I love it, Feral. That's going to be
Yeah.
my word of the day today. Awesome. Thank you so much. Everyone, again, watch Christina on Next Level Chef season 3 and stay tuned for the next podcast.
Thank you, Audrey.
Thank you, Christina.
Bye.
Bye.